Hello and welcome to the Trading Bell. And today we focus on the banking sector. The full year results for the year 2022 are coming out and different banks are performing differently. Today our focus will be on Stanbic Bank. And I'm joined by Dennis Musa, who's the Chief Financial and Value Officer at Stanbic Bank. Dennis, welcome to the Trading Bell.
Thank you.
Quite a strong performance for the year 2022. I can see profit after tax 26% up. The year was indeed that recovery year from my assessment, wasn't it?
Yeah, and thank you again for having me on the set to speak about our financials. The year 2022, coming off 2021 and of course 2020, was a year for us to and for our customers to really get back to normalcy, if you like, to start beating the cocktails of COVID, to try and get back into business, whether the traditional businesses they were doing or different businesses or varied businesses. Yeah, so that is the space in which we operated, not without challenges, probably slightly different challenges. We saw, whether you talk about North America, whether you talk about the Eurozone, whether you talk about Russia, Ukraine, whether you talk about the Chinese policy on COVID, and you bring that all back home. You talk about drought, you talk about inflation. So it was a different set of challenges, but when you are in a sector such as ours, our job is not to be afraid. Our job is to kind of deal with those challenges and help our customers and our investors to get past those challenges.
Definitely. I'm glad you've mentioned all the storms. They call them the perfect storms, especially in Kenya. They are really aligned. Globally, we are seeing our supply chain constraint matters, Ukraine, Russia. At the same time, we're seeing China with their response to COVID, as you've mentioned. And locally, we don't have rains. Inflation is skyrocketing, quite concerns here and there. And looking at that, and you guys posting, profit after tax of 9.1 billion shillings. What are the major drivers of this?
So we have a purpose, and that purpose actually, Stanbic Bank is a member of Standard Bank Group, which is the biggest banking group across Africa, operating in 20 countries. And we say our purpose is Africa is our home, and we drive our growth, and therefore Africa's growth, Kenya's growth, South Sudan's growth is our business. And that is the purpose we continued to execute on. Now, when you look at the 9.1 billion, it looks, and depends on what lens you look at. But there is a lot of work that has gone into that. We grew our lending to customers to support their growth by 27% year on year. We grew customer deposits by 12% year on year. We grew our balance sheet 22% year on year. We worked very hard to make customer onboarding digital, to make digital, to avail digital lending. We recently launched a Chama app, and we are very proud of, I was looking at some statistics, and there are more than 300,000 chamas in Kenya. To be able to avail such a platform to the market. We launched an SBGS app, which allows you and I, coincidentally we are at the NSC, but we didn't have to come here to trade shares. We could have done this. So we've invested in transforming that client experience. The second part of that has been investing in efficiencies, and you will see that in our cost-to-income ratio. Our cost-to-income ratio 4 years ago was in the mid-50s. Proud to say that we are now at 46.7%, and that is blood and sweat, trying to ensure that we extract efficiencies in our operations, trying to ensure that we invest in operational in processes that allow us to turn services to the customers much faster and more efficiently and in a cost-efficient way. And then the last one is sustainability. And the return in itself, when you look at profits and we come and say we announce this number versus the other number, we take more pride in the effect and the impact of that. We participated, if I can just pick one example, in this expressway, which has reduced the time that we take to go to Mlolongo and back by 80% or 90%, depending on the time of day. Now, we are proud of those things alongside the return and the profits that we're able to print.
All right. On the lending bit, you say lending has grown. First of all, talk to me about the sectors that you're lending towards. I know we've had a change in government and there are specific agendas like the previous government talking about the Big Four agenda. This government is bottom up, so lending to SMEs and individuals. This growth in lending, where was it directed to?
We can't grow we can't leave our purpose outside of what the government is doing and the areas it's focusing on. Our lending grew in manufacturing. We grew our lending in power infrastructure. We grew our lending in oil and gas. We grew our lending and our offerings in the tea sector and agriculture sector, which is 20-something% of this market's GDP. We are quite aligned with what the government is doing and the things that the government deems important for this market are important to us. And that is why our purpose has to go back to driving Kenya's and South Sudan's growth.
All right. Yeah. And talking about asset quality, in terms of NPLs, so far, how do the ratios sit?
9.1%. NPL ratio. Last year, 9.25. The year before, 11. So we've worked very hard to manage our credit quality, and it's two pieces. One is managing our customers who have struggled, and then the second one is really writing good book. I should say that the market NPL ratio is in the region of 14%. So we feel 9% is kind of the right area. We'd like to kind of reduce it much further, but we're also careful not to cut it to a point where we don't have any risk appetite. There's got to be a balance. But being below market by about 5% for us is a mark of strength in our lending capability, especially when you compare that to a 27% loan growth.
Yeah. I know, and because we've seen, especially the year 2022, of course, was poised to be that year of recovery, looking at different sectors. During COVID, I know hospitality was hit very hard, and if you're directing credit towards that sector, you had to, rethink about that. Yeah. In terms of this reduction, which sectors are showing improvement in terms of, on their value of their loan and also sort of being able to fulfill their obligation?
Kenyans and Kenyan people and businesses are very resilient and very dynamic. What we saw post-COVID was that, businesses tried to kind of remodel themselves. We had people who were selling books starting to sell sanitizers. We had people start to sell masks, things that we didn't actually, kind of know that existed outside of hospitals. So we haven't seen a massive shrinkage. There has been, kind of challenges in tourism because of lockdowns and all that, and economic hardships. There has been challenges in hospitality because of because of obviously tourism and other factors. But what we've seen with our customers, and which is why then the NPL ratio still continues to be managed downwards, is they have remodeled their businesses to turn with the times. We're seeing more players than we ever saw in digital kind of offerings. Whether you talk about e-commerce, whether you talk about just any form of, digital lending has become very, very well intermediated. Payments, there's a lot of people getting into payments. So we've seen businesses remodel and vary themselves and not sit and just say, oh, I used to do this, it's now gone, and therefore that's the end of me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's very important to note.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your deposits. It's a show of confidence. I can trust you with my money. And that aspect is also growing, especially amidst sort of an economic downturn. How do you balance the two, increasing deposits? How do you convince people to deposit money with you more?
Noah, we were voted, I can't remember now, but not too long ago, as the most trusted bank in this market, Stanbic Bank. And increasing deposits at a rate that is faster than the market. Just for context, when I look at 9 months, the local banking sector reported a 7% growth in deposits and a 15% growth in loans. Deposits have definitely been hard to come by, right? Especially when you think about where yields are. If you're chasing yield, then you can go elsewhere and get some yield. When you look at the US interest rates, risen by more than 400 bips in the last 1 year. If you're holding hard currency, there are options out there. But because we are a trusted institution, both for safety but also for transactional flows, our customers keep coming back. And you will see we pay for it. Our interest expense went up 15%. Interest income obviously went up much faster, which is why we're able to record a 33% increase in NII. But our customers are trusting that their money is safe with us, and they're trusting that where we're deploying this money is in the right areas, because we've told them our purpose in this market is very clear. We're going to be part of telling the Kenyan growth story.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Soap with germ defense gives you protection. When it's cold, germs are transferred in different ways, and Dettol Soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
Own your dream home for as low as 1.98 million Kenya shillings in Vipingo, Kilifi, and enjoy a flexible payment plan of 10% on